Hey guys, this is Dardamos with Dardamos Dominions, and I'm here with an army today. So, first off, as last episode, Balin, how are you doing, dude?
I'm back for more.
Grippa, and if you didn't catch last episode, the game has ended because we're going way too slow. And, so we've got Grippa, who's a statist player.
Yellow.
We've got, Kara, Koronograph. Say hi, Kara.
Yo.
Mandar, you're, increasing your episode streak.
Hello.
We have the Scaleria player on RCK79.
Hey.
Is it cool? Can I just call you RCK, or is there something else that I can do for short?
You can just call me Corey. That's my real name. It's just an abbreviation for my name. That's
okay. I will try to do that. I might, because it's in the corner.
You call me whatever. It's cool.
Okay, whatever. Okay, then we'll move on into the turn. Okay, so let's go over the turns really quickly. He goes in against Hydras and is defeated. There's a raid against Airmore. Here is the Airmorian army. Scaleria has went underwater a little bit more. We have Airmore face checking some PD dump. The Van Herses raid some more, and Vanheim finds Airmore's other army. Another raid that is successful, and once again, we are getting killed by Holy Fire, and we don't have enough money, and our troops are deserting. So, let's go in first with Balin. What do you think goes wrong in this one before we see what actually goes wrong? He didn't lose anybody, and yet he ran away. So what's going on here?
The Van Hearse or here or whatever it's called got hit and failed a morale check.
Okay, so there he is. So you think this guy's gonna get hit and then is gonna take a morale check?
100%.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Oh, by the way, I think we lost Zan in between. He said he had to get out of here, by the way. Yeah, so they just pound the Jesus out of him right away. He went down from 80 hit points to 39. Why is he not going to die right away, Grippa?
Who, me? Oh, God. I don't know. He's got an okay protection. Oh, he's got regen, too.
Okay, there we go. So he's got regen, so he's going to be bringing himself back up. Why was there so much damage right away, and why aren't they just going to kill him round 2, Kara?
Oh, so there was a bunch of damage because Vans have a lance, which means they do extra damage on their first swing in every combat. Luckily for the Hydras are pierce resistant though, so that actually got reduced by a ton. That would have flat out killed almost anything that isn't a Hydra really, really easily. I'm actually betting, as a note, that it's not the Hydra hitting something, but just the Hydra's fear aura that's gonna fear off some of the squad.
What was, like, why? How?
The fear aura reduces the morale over time of everything near it, and then also causes it to take morale checks on a somewhat infrequent basis. I don't know what the math is.
Mandar, can you explain to me what how exactly the mechanic of this works?
Not at all. I mentioned this last episode. Seventh Path has recently been doing some research into morale and fear, and that was at my request because I have basically no idea how any of that stuff works.
And I do want to preface this. I totally knew that. Like, I totally asked you that question knowing the answer would be, I don't know. And the question that I have is, and I'm gonna take this back to Kara on this one. Why do we not know this? I mean, can't the developers tell us how it works, or isn't it in the manual at all?
So some of this information is in the manual, but the developers actually like to have us not know everything. They've talked about this a little bit, but they like the feeling of mystery. There's a lot of mechanics in the game that are weird and esoteric and complicated behind the scenes, and you can kind of like experimentally test how they work, but that's all you can do to really find out. And when there's a bunch of interacting factors like morale, where they trigger on who knows how many different things and have how many different modifiers. It's really hard to isolate parameters such that you can figure out how any individual given parameter works.
And it really bothers people like me who I'm the guy who has read the entire, Dungeons and Dragons manual 17 times. And, my back hurts because of all the books I'm carrying for any type of game we're playing, so that I can find out the exact math and the exact probability and everything like that. And Dominions sometimes bothers me because there are so many unknowns in this. Fear comes to mind. What are some other mechanics that are kind of a little vague? Just anybody. Does anybody have any other mechanics that are kind of vague?
Everything.
The interdimensional stuff, like when you get Claws of Cocytus, and there's some perhaps maybe interaction with that and the Manual of the Planes, but nobody actually knows.
Also, when you're fighting your way out of the underworld, nobody knows how many fights you have to go through to get out.
There's a lot of event chains that are really confusing as to how they actually work.
Oh yeah, even with the mod inspector, I can't figure out event chains very well.
Personally, I actually kind of like this. I'm a very play by feel, just build up experience over time on how things work and eyeball things and be like, yeah, I think this'll work. But I know a lot of players are more scientific than that.
And I kind of went over. Go ahead.
It's good for some mechanics, like with fear and morale. I totally don't mind it. But back when I had no idea how fate weaving worked, it annoyed me to no end, and I would never take that bless without knowing exactly what it did.
Okay,
so
let's go into that because I want to go further into that. We're on turn 24, so when I forget, please remind me. Fate weaving is an excellent example of this. Can you explain? It's astral, correct?
Yeah.
And what exactly does this do?
It cuts your random rolls in half.
Oh, it halves the DNR rolls.
Yes, I think that's what it does.
What do you mean by that? Can you go into that a little bit more because it's a little vague. What do you mean by DN? What is DRN and what is cut in half and what do you exactly mean by that?
Okay, so every Dominion's attack defense mechanic in there has a little dice attached to it called a DRN roll. That dice roll adds a number onto it. So it can add a number onto your attack, onto your defense, onto your morale, onto your magic resistance, and that dice has a chance to explode, which means it rolls again, and it can keep on increasing. So theoretically, you could have a human militia one-shot a 900 HP giant, but that in practice doesn't happen.
It wouldn't happen before the heat death of the universe if you did it 7 million times a second or whatever. It's worth noting that the specific die that is used for the DRN is in fact 2 open-ended D6s. So if either one of them lands on a 6, then that one rolls again, -1, and so on. It can keep going. And what Fate Weaving does is, I believe that it means that you only get 1 open-ended D6 instead of 2.
Grippa, where do you find this stuff out at? Because, looking at the bottom, it says, blessed units will be observed by the fates. That's not very specific. Anyone striking will have their fate written, which means nothing. And then suffer misfortunes the next few rounds of battle, which, few rounds is very, where would you find this out from?
I'm going to be straight honest. I'm really happy you asked me because I just learned about what the exploding dice means about 5 seconds ago when they explained it. Because I had no idea how it worked until now. I just accepted it as a thing in the game until now.
Where do you go? Where do you go for information if you need it?
The questions channel in this Discord, or I bother Bowen.
Okay, we're trying to get Chipotle in, so Can you hear, dude?
Yep. I just muted myself because I didn't have anything to add. But what's up, everyone?
Okay, give me just a second. I'm gonna bring your volume up again. Are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So you were in the channel, and we actually brought you in. And for any listeners out there, if you see us recording, you're just like Chipotle. You can jump in whenever. Chipotle, you had another mechanic that's a little bit vague. What were you talking about?
I don't understand if repel has any sort of damage associated with it or not, and I have heard different things from different people, and
Yep.
I know that repel depends on morale, and so it doesn't affect berserker units. But whenever I look at the like battle box, it also mentions a roll against defense, so I'm not actually sure what repel is checking against.
What do you normally see with repel? Like, because I mean, what is the repel mechanic that you know so much, or what part of the repel mechanic do you actually understand?
So I know that it has to do with attack, length, and then size. So I believe size 3 and up get an extra. Maybe it's size 4 and up get an extra 1 to any length. You can see the length there for the bronze spear. And then somehow that length is calculated in addition to your attack skill. And when another unit attacks you, you have a chance to essentially knock their weapon away based on how skilled you are at attacking. But it also has something to do with morale, and then it also checks against defense, and maybe it does damage.
RCK, you said that you've gotten like 1 or 2 games in so far. Do you know this mechanic very well?
I just knew that it had to do with the length of the weapon. That's really all about it that I knew, and maybe the attack stat a little bit. I didn't know that the size gave it an extra length added to the weapon. I didn't know about that.
Fallen, how important is repel in the current Dominions meta?
Well, it wasn't really widespread until there was this Femoria build, I think almost a year back, where this guy had a size 6 Titan chassis geared out, and it steamrolled 2 players that were 2v1ing him for the longest time. But Mandar used it in Repel in the Blitz quite effectively. It was the not that one, the one.
The Marigna, the Trinity.
Yeah, it was Morgan Le Fay, the big one, the big female.
It's not Morgan Le Fay. It's the Marigna.
I know.
Oh, Morgan. This is the chassis that they used to that was in Lucid's game.
Yes.
No, but this one works well enough.
No, that was the one that was used in Lucid's game.
I believe that's the one that was played as well.
I think it's the Duo of War because this is the one that I used in mine in order to get my repel build going.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter as long as it's size 6.
And doesn't it need fire base for the bless though?
It's helpful. I know how much. Do you want me to explain some repel stuff? Because I, unlike morale stuff, I actually know repel stuff quite well.
Yeah. Let's give you a win here, dude. What exactly? How do we do the repel thing?
Okay, buckle up, boys and girls. This is an interesting one. If your weapon is longer than the guy who's attacking you's weapon, and this applies to multiple weapons, you can get multiple repel checks. Then you do one check of your attack skill versus their defense skill. And then your success in that. Some of that, and we haven't figured out exactly how much because it seems to have changed since Dominions 4, and it doesn't seem to be super consistent. But some of your success, if your attack roll is better than their defense roll, the guy who's actually swinging at you and who you're trying to repel, some of that difference goes into a morale check for them. If they pass that morale check, they take a point of damage and complete their attack. If they fail the morale check, then their attack is aborted. I think it's the first of those rolls, the attack versus defense one, where size is also taken into account. So an extra long weapon does not make a difference, but being a larger size does. So all you need is for your weapon to be any longer than their weapon, and you can make a repel check. But you get a bonus for your size. So the Fomorian Druid is size 4, but the Fomorian Giants are size 6, so they would get an extra +2 to their roll, relatively speaking. This repel can be used against things with absurdly high morale values too, if you can get your attack stat up high enough. The only example I know of this in vanilla is the Raga Pretender chassis, who I call the Angry Menu, who I can't remember the name of, who threw some serious shenanigans. Pardon?
Angramanu.
Ah, thank you. Who's through some serious shenanigans, which I can detail if you're interested, can get his attack skill up to about 50 if you really try hard.
Which guy is it?
That would be Titan, top left.
Top left, this guy right here?
Yes, the Angry Menu.
He can get his through Chaos Power.
Chaos Power will give you 6, then include a Blood Surge and attack skill bless. Slap him with a Ring of the Warrior, a Burning Pearl, and I think you want Hell Power, Quickness, some Experience Stars, and a better weapon. His default weapon, by the way, is quite good. It gives +2 attack and it's good length, but you can get more attack skill, particularly with the Holy Scourge at Construction Level 2. Actually, all he needs is Construction Level 2 to be able to get all the items he needs to do some pretty disgusting repelling. Although it does get easier if you get higher research.
3 steps that we know of repel, and we don't know the exact number. First is the weapon length needs to be longer, correct?
There can be multiple weapons, but yes.
Okay, so
the
it needs to be
you're using to repel, and you can use multiple weapons to repel.
You can't repel with your fist, then, correct?
No, because fists can never be more than length 0.
Okay, so the length has to be longer, and then the attacker needs to dodge, and if they dodge, then they're not repelled. So you're going to try to make the defender have a high attack, the defender have a low or a high defense, and then it's a morale check. Those are the 3 steps?
Please clarify what you mean by attacker and defender. Use the terms repeller and repel-e.
Okay, so repeller uses their attack, repel-e uses defense. And so if you want to actually be able to hit somebody with a longer weapon, you should boost your defense. So something like an elf would not be repelled as often, correct?
I think that is correct.
And then the next one is morale. I'm going to shoot this off to Balin real quick. Balin, what is the thing that you use against repel builds?
Berserkers, because a berserking unit has 99 morale, and technically can't get repelled. You can repel stupid high morale shit, but you can't repel a berserker.
You could, in theory, repel a berserker if you could get your attack skill up to like 200.
Kara, are there any, because I'm hearing these numbers like 99 and really high numbers. Are there any numbers that are there any times that it's actually infinity or anything like that in the game?
Yeah, so specifically, if you have a morale value of 50, you have the game considers you to have infinite morale for basically every purpose.
That is false. There are confirmed reports of, in I think the DE mod, someone managed to get their attack skill high enough to actually repel Long Dead, who have a morale value of 50.
Now,
Long Dead can be repelled. It is just a lot of effort.
That's really interesting because I think that I've heard that 50 acts like infinity, at least for other things, but I guess in regards to repel, it's not infinity then. Is that correct?
For like normal levels of repel, it is basically infinity. It only, when we say that like repelling long dead is very difficult, it should be noted that that is missing a few dozen fairies to really get the point across.
Well, to add the two different conversations.
Infinite.
When the two conversations, we talked about DRNs and morale checks. So if you have a DRN and you just get exploding dice, could a 50 morale unit route?
I don't know.
Because I'm with Kara. I've heard that it was literally infinite. That you might as well just be. It's the same thing. It's infinite.
So
I've
50
never
morale.
seen a 50 morale unit route.
50 morale is a placeholder. The Illwinter doesn't actually tell us the real morale number. Any morale 50 or above is a placeholder that will not be expanded upon because they like to keep the game mysterious.
Now,
is that true? I did not know that.
Kara, with the, let's say Soul Slay, it's like 999 damage. Can you actually live through that?
Oh yeah, so there's a pretender god called the Raven of the Underworld, which is the big one that I've seen this happen on. That has this nifty ability called Corpse Eater, and there's also a I think it's a Death Summon that has a similar mechanic where it can actually get a max hit points of over 1,000, and it is actually possible to live through things like Soul Slay if you have enough hit points.
Yeah, there's a giant
thing.
There's a couple pretender gods with Corpse Eater that do this.
I believe it's just this one and the dog.
Yeah, I think that's the only one that comes to mind.
Hound of the Underworld is probably available on like Man if you want to go show it off.
It's in the Celtic pantheon.
But also the Eater of the Dead has the same Corpse Eater ability.
Yeah, and that's just a normal summon. Anyone can summon that.
But it does break free if it gets too strong.
Wait, what? Hold on, Chipotle, what are you talking about?
Oh my god.
If the Eater of the Dead consumes too much, it becomes it goes wild.
Okay, where is this? Because it's a spell, correct?
It's a conjuration summon. It's in Conjure 8 or 9. I don't remember which. I believe it's Death. It might be Astral.
It's Astral Death.
There it is.
Right
there. The way that this works is that
Chipotle,
it has...
Chipotle, can you go into this? Like, what exactly, when you say, like, can you tell me what do you mean by, like, will break free, and what are the triggers for this?
I'm not 100% sure on the details about what exactly the triggers are, but if anyone here has ever charmed one of the Doom horrors from a Cataclysm, it's pretty similar. So you'll have control over it for several turns, and for the Eater of the Dead, it's you'll have control of it until it basically consumes enough corpses and has enough health, and then literally the unit goes rogue. You'll get a notification, and the unit is no longer yours. It can attack anywhere. It can take any actions that the unit can normally take, as far as I'm aware. It's not going to build a fort, but it'll move and attack pretty much randomly.
RCK, have you ever made it to the Cataclysm before?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. Grippa, you have, correct?
Fortunately, several times.
Have you ever seen one of those little Doom horrors get charmed before?
No, I have not.
Valen, how about you? Have you seen it get charmed before?
When you charm a Doom horror, there's a 50% chance every turn for it to break free.
Now, there's a gigantic meme about a Doom horror, correct, Mandar?
a gigantic meme about a Doom horror?
Where they
please be more
prophetized
specific?
it or something like that? I mean, you're
That was
the guy who's
actually
got the
an
whole...
Eater of the Dead.
That was an Eater of the Dead. That was shortly after Dominions 4 came out. That was played on Dominions 3, and it was posted to 4chan's DOMG thread.
Are we allowed
have a
to say
link if you'd
4chan
like.
on YouTube?
Yes, you're allowed to
Yes.
say 4chan, you
I
child.
thought it was a bad word.
Yeah, you
I mean, it is, but
Okay, so I want you to go on, because all the best stuff happens there. The wildest stuff. What exactly happened with this prophetized Eater of the Dead? Because I know that it was amazing.
It's been a while since I've read the thread, and honestly, I can't do it justice without rereading the thread and dedicating an entire video to this. It was hilarious. This deserves its own video.
Well, can you give me the 30-second version of it, or in our case, the 10-minute version of it?
Man summons Eater of the Dead, prophetizes it, gives it nice items, empowers it, sets it loose on people, and it gets big and strong, and then it turns against him and starts causing problems. And then there are a few sagas of him charming it and it breaking free again, and he charmed it another time and it broke free. And then I think the game ended for unrelated reasons.
So it was this dude right here, literally the thing we're talking about.
Yes, the Eater of the Dead.
And
Gave
by
it
the way,
regen with 900 HP.
You can. I think that if you go into like any questions channel and talk about the Eater of the Dead, that you could probably get a link. I might. Chipotle just gave me the link. I might link it with the video if I remember.
I also just linked it in general.
So definitely, I'll try to remember to link that in the description below. How many of you guys have actually used either the Raven of the Dead, the Eater of the Dead, the Hound of the Undead? Balin, have you used it in the game?
I made Grippa take it, and I made Grippa take it so it could soul vortex moss body itself. And then he immediately made it lose its nature path.
Listen, you. I did.
Agrippa, how high did you get its HP?
Not high. It died like turn 7.
Well, yeah, but you can bring him back.
I did bring it back. He died again. And now
He's on his 3rd or 4th life currently.
Now he's mute. So now he's not even able to do.
Oh.
Okay, Kara, what's the highest you've ever gotten one of these guys, hit points wise?
So an Eater of the Dead, I've only gotten to 400 or 500. But I got a Raven up to about 2,000 at one point.
Oh, and so a Raven can literally take 2 Soul Slays.
Yep. At that point, the Raven is actually one of my favorite Middle Airmore pretenders. If you want to do awake nonsense.
Vandar, what is the highest you ever got one of these guys?
Back in Dominions 3, I was playing around in single player and got an Eater of the Dead to break free from me, although I hadn't empowered it or prophetized it or anything fun like that. And I don't think I've really played around with it since Dominions 3.
Now, RCK, you've you play Scalaria in your normal games, and I don't know if they have you played with any of these at all?
As far as the pretenders go,
yeah.
Now for the Raven, I did mess around with it with one test game, but it died like turn 4 when I was trying to expand with it, and I was like, nah, this isn't. I'm gonna mess with that no more.
So but, you got his hit points up to 77.
Yeah, pretty much. But other than that, I've never messed with the summon. I haven't messed with him.
Chipotle, what is the highest that you've gotten any of these guys up hit point wise?
Well, before I played multiplayer, I spent a lot of hours doing single player, just kind of testing things out before I felt comfortable enough. And I went with an Awake Raven on Lemuria, which is not a good build. It's absolutely not. But I got the Raven up to like 700 HP before I decided I was tired of controlling like 7D stacks of undead against an AI that wasn't particularly rewarding to play against.
Zan, have you ever used one of these before?
Not yet, but I really, really want to. Like that, I want to use that Raven.
Now, I know Lucid had his partner use one of these in his Disciples game. Did you guys actually watch it to the very end?
Yomi one?
Yes.
Yes.
How high did it get?
Very high. I don't recall the exact number. It's been like 6 months since I've seen the scene, but it was something ridiculous, and then it had the Crown of Friendship.
Oh my goodness, he put the friendship crown on it?
I believe so, yes.
How well did that work out?
I don't recall, actually. I just remember it being hilarious.
I can't imagine the friendship crown not turning out well.
Kara, why is this chassis not always used? I mean, it can get up to 200 or 7,000 hit points. Why would you not use this?
So the issue is it's not very good until you start getting massive amounts of hit points on it, and even then there's it has problems killing things. You can make it a giant death mage, but if you scroll down, it's got new path cost of 80, which means you really, really need to scales like crazy if you're gonna try and make it work at all. The thing I tooled around with it was a Chill Aura Hard Skin Reforming Flesh Bless on Awake Airmore. But that's what
was the other thing? Sorry, Chill Aura, Reforming Flesh, and what's the other thing?
Hard Skin, Earth 6. This actually gets it up to, I believe it's 21 protection, which actually, combined with a fear value of 11 and the Chill Aura, means that it can actually just survive at things long enough that they will usually end up running away. But this is but in order to do this, you have to go like Turmoil 3, Sloth 3, Cold 3, Death 3, Luck 3, Drain 3. So it's very much a all-in build. And the god is going to walk around doing things like flying at an enemy army and casting Earthquake a few times because it's an Earth 6 caster that flies. And being impossibly hard to kill. But it's not generally what I would consider strong as a build, but it's very fun.
Okay, last question for the episode. Balin, this build, since you and Grippa, and you guys both can take this, is it a legit build, or is it a mem build?
Oh, you're playing to have fun with this build. You're not playing to win.
Grippa, what's your thought?
Exactly the same thing. It's a bit of a memey thing, and it's pretty easily counterable, it feels like, if people are expecting it. But it's definitely fun when I can actually use it.
Okay, well, Balin, thanks again for joining with us.
No worries.
Grippa, it was great to get your input on a lot of these things.
Absolutely. It was always a pleasure.
Kara, wonderful to have you in another video.
Happy to be here.
Mandar, thanks for your insight on the Furora.
Thank you for having me.
RCK, sorry I didn't get to you as much, but thank you for joining in.
Oh, it's no problem. I was learning a lot.
Chipotle, it was amazing to, we did this, we were behind the scenes talking a whole lot, getting you in, and I'm really excited to be able to have this opportunity to get you in. And then, I think he's muted. And then Zan, glad to, I think you jumped out and then jumped back in during the episode, so glad you were able to make it. And we have two strong and silent types. So, guys, thanks again for joining in with us, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.